Really, people? We're gonna focus on committing murder while on this boat we have the goddess Gal Gadot? Can't we just sit back and relax and bask in her glory? Come on! Death on the Bloody Nile, released in 2022 and is directed by Kenneth Branagh, who has also directed such films like Henry V, Salute, The Magic Flute, As You Like It, Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit, Thor, and Murder on the Orient Express. And this film has a huge all-star cast of Annette Bening, Tom Bateman, Russell Brand, Ali Fazal, Dawn French, Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer, Rose Leslie, Emma McKay, Sophie Okonedo, Jennifer Saunders, and Letitia Wright. The year is 1937. And Inspector Hercule Poirot is the greatest inspector detective in the world. And while enjoying some desserts at a very snazzy jazz nightclub, he witnesses Jackie Del Belfort introducing her fiancé Simon Doyle to her childhood friend, heiress Lynette Ridgway. Flash forward 6 weeks, and Doyle and Ridgway are surprisingly married. But while enjoying the fruits of their honeymoon, they are distraught because Jackie has been stalking them ever since they broke their past engagement. Now the newly coupled has enlisted the help of Hercule Poirot in trying to stop Jackie from stalking them further. And in a final attempt to avoid Jackie, the newly married couple invite all of their friends and family to accompany them on a cruise down the River Nile. Little does everyone know that a murder is about to happen, so this is only my second outing with this character of Inspector Poirot, and after watching Murder on the Orient Express last week, I gotta say I'm still all in on this character. I want to read, I want to watch everything about him. I was so entertained with Murder on the Orient Express that I actually ordered the very first book from Agatha Christie starring Hercule Poirot. So, yeah, any movie that gets me to want to read something is okay in my book. And that's exactly what this movie did for me. It's continuing my just love and excitement of figuring out who this inspector is and figuring out all the adventures that he goes on, because this movie was a pretty fun-ass time. Kenneth Branagh is one of my favorite directors. He has a very keen eye for detail and stylized and period pieces, and that's one of the great things I love about this movie is that aesthetic. The costuming, oh my god, the 1930s costuming, the gowns, the suits, everything. I'm in frickin' love. And the setting, the music, the style, how eccentric everyone seems to be. It feels like it's a time gone by that we just don't see anymore, or at least I don't see anymore, but that makes sense because I'm just recording YouTube videos here in my basement. Why would I experience fine dining and cruises down the River Nile? I also like these stories because I love Clue. I love the board game Clue, I love the movie Clue. So any of these whodunit type detective stories, I am all in. Especially when nothing was spoiled for me going into it, so I'm going into this fresh eyes. I've never seen any previous adaptations of Death on the Nile. Definitely haven't read the book, but I will be soon enough. I mean, it takes me a very long time to read, but I plan on reading everything from Agatha Christie about this character. That was one of the fun things about Murder on the Orient Express, is trying to figure out, okay, I'm putting all my money on this person. They're gonna be the ones who end up murdering the guy, so come on, Poole, win me some money. And that's the same thing that happened here. However, I will say with Murder on the Orient Express, I got it wrong, so it kind of was like, wow, this thing really did surprise me, whereas here, I had a small little suspicion at the start, and it ended up being correct, because no way something like this happens to cause this thing to happen, and then without repercussions that way. So, yeah, that was very vague, I'm sorry, but I don't want to spoil it because this movie just came out this weekend, and I encourage you to go see this thing. And we have an all-star cast, a lot of big names in here, which always makes me happy. I love those movies that just put all of these huge-ass names in the story and in the plot, but it all makes sense. It's not something stupid, just like, hey, cameos here, bye! No, they all play into the story, and everyone is a suspect. Everyone has a possibility of being the murderer. Gal Gadot is... You know me. You've been on this channel before. You know that I have the biggest crush on her and just think that she is just beautiful as all hell. Whenever she's on screen, it's glamorous. Everyone's attention just focuses on her. Her introduction scene, that glamour shot, it reminded me of classic Hollywood, Sunset Boulevard, All About Eve, all these grand pieces where this woman comes down in this grand-ass gown and the lights are shining on her perfectly. It's perfect. Kenneth Branagh knows what he's doing when he's stylizing and doing a period piece like this. Surprisingly, though, the standout for me was Tom Bateman. He was in Murder on the Orient Express as Poirot's friend and confidant, and here he shows up again. He's flying kites on the pyramids, which actually sounds like a really fun idea. I want to do that. But he's not just a background person in this film. He actually has some depth, and he has some story, and he has some character arcs in this film. And probably the thing that made me smile the most about this movie was Emma McKay being in it, because I love her in Sex Education. That is one of my favorite shows. I could binge watch that thing until the end of time, and she is fantastic in it, so I'm happy that she's getting into film and getting her name out there in this broader spectrum, because I think she's a great actress. And she's magnificent here. She's beautiful, she's evil, she's conniving, she's sympathetic, she's sad. She's able to put all of these different emotions into this one line that she would say in a scene. She is magnificent. I love her. I was also very happy to see Annette Bening on screen too. I mean, she's just a fantastic actress in her own right. And I don't like looking up who the entire cast is when I go into a movie like this, so to see her pop up like, oh, Annette Bening. I frickin' love you, and I'm loving this movie. Now, I do think that this film has a problem with pacing, more so than the very first one did. In Murder on the Orient Express, the kill happened very early on, so we had really the entire time just watching this Detective Hercule Poirot do his thing, and do his investigations, and do his interrogations, and that was a lot of fun. In this film, though, the murder happens pretty late in the story. The first 2 acts are mainly about Gal Gadot and Armie Hammer's relationship and running away from Emma McKay, and Poirot is there just reading his Dickens and eating his desserts and drinking his champagne and just having a great time on the River Nile. I don't know why I say River Nile like I do, how I am for this review, but you know what? I'm gonna go with it. River Nile. And it's almost to the point where it's a little far gone for me, and then all of a sudden we get into the Inspector Poirot-ness, investigation-ness. So I am sitting there going like, come on, I want to get to the murder, I want to get to the investigations, because that's the best part. But instead we're going to the tombs of Egypt and talking about inheritance and love and stuff, which is fine. It's just, I want to see investigations. I want to see murder. But I will say that that is a small nitpick for this movie that I had an enjoyable time with. Kenneth Branagh is a great director. He's also a great performer too. He owns this character of Inspector Poirot, and we get a little bit of Poirot's backstory, where he comes from, what happened to him in World War I, why he grows the mustache, which is very fascinating. And it actually kind of brought me to tears at some point, because it's really, really sad what happens. And it provides you with a lot of empathy for this character who, in real life, would come off as a giant dick. He's a man cursed with knowledge, sees everything, and is constantly analyzing everything. And he says it himself in this movie that he loves showboating, and he loves explaining why he does the things that he does and why he is so awesome at what he does. In real life, dick. But here in our prequel scene and then how this film ends, you get the idea of why he does what he does and how he does what he does. It provides a lot of empathy for the character, and I love that. I just love this character, and I want to see this thing keep going. I hope this movie does well enough to where we get a 3rd installment, and then I hope that one does well till we get a 4th, and then a 5th, and then a 6th. I feel like this franchise, though, is a little like, well, let's just see what happens with the next one, and then, hey, let's see what happens with the next one. So if you can, please support this movie, because I love this story, I love this character, and I want to see it continue. I'm gonna give Death on the Nile 4 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I like it a lot.
Alright everyone, now comes my favorite part of my videos where I pick which movie I'm going to be watching next, and today is Valentine's Day, and I received a PayPal donation and recommendation from one of my subscribers, Dr. Camp, who recommended the film Love Stinks, so we're going to be watching that one. It's going to be a day late after Valentine's Day, but you know, it's okay. I'm pretty sure everyone's not going to be bothered by the fact that we're watching Love Stinks a day late, because I've not seen this movie yet, but looking at the previews and the poster, French Stewart is in the thing. I don't think it's gonna be a fun time for me. So guys, if you've seen Death on the Nile, what did you think about it? Or if you've never seen it before and you stumbled across because of this video, then comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you on the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time with my review of Love Stinks. So in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.